Upsetting main roads. We're on. All right. Welcome along, everybody. We do have members in the gallery, and I will note that this meeting is being recorded, according with council policy. So, by way of attendance, Mr. CEO.
Apology from Councillor Kilpatrick.
Thank you. Item 1.1, item 2, public question time. I'm taking it there is none. Item 2.1, responses to previous questions taken on notice. We have none. So I'll go to item 3, applications for leave of absence. You'll all be here for the December meeting. Good to hear. Okay, item 4 being petitions and deputations. We have 2 deputations tonight, which is fantastic. So we have Sam Harmer from Woodbelt Connect. Come up, Sam, introduce yourself. And
where would you like me? Up at the...
Yeah, I think up at the lectern, if that suits you. Are we able to get some photos that Sam has? What was that?
They were going to be distributed after the meeting.
I can circulate the presentation afterwards.
Righto.
Mr. President.
Okay.
With that.
Comfortable with that? All right.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight, and thank you. I had conversations with the CEO over probably the last 12 months, introducing him to Wheatbelt Connect, and as our projects developed, it was probably timely to come back, and it was his advice to provide a broad update to the elected members about. Tonight there's probably 3 things that I was hoping to touch on, I guess. Who Wheatbelt Connect is, where we've come from, and then what the project could mean for your shire heading into the future. And I'm happy to take any questions at the end, but I'm also happy to take them kind of on the hop if it helps, because I reckon a bit of Q&A is always helpful. So as I said, I'll touch on the background. I might also run through a couple of project case studies of kind of some of the activities that we've been up to, and then where we're up to this year. So, who is Wheatbelt Connect? What is Wheatbelt Connect? Wheatbelt Connect, there's a flyer there, which I hope you can all take home with you as a bit of light reading, is a joint venture between Qantas, ANZ and Impex. Impex is the operator of the project, so delivering Wheatbelt Connect on behalf of those 3 businesses. And it was developed as a revegetation project to help, I guess, generate carbon credits to support the decarbonisation requirements of those organisations. Now, how did they get together? Impex and Qantas are captured by the safeguard mechanism, so they have to reduce their emissions with a declining baseline between now and 2030 and beyond. And why is ANZ involved? Because ANZ is the bank for Impex and for Qantas, and they have obligations to, I guess, to support their clients when they meet those obligations. So that's kind of where it started, and since the joint venture was signed in 2023, it's been a pretty measured, slow, methodical kind of build-up of the project. We did our first planting near Mora in August 2023, and if anyone remembers August 2023, she was pretty warm, and so that in itself was a bit of a learning. And then last year was our first year that we really proactively got out into the community, going to the Woolarama, going to the field days and starting to talk to community and to landowners and to the local elected members about what Wheatbelt Connect is. And then we were lucky enough to deliver 4 projects this year, and so we've slowly but surely built as we've got, I guess, more traction in the community, more conversations with landowners, but it does take time. It can be a 12-month, it can be an 18-month process, it can be a 2-year process from when I first talk to a landowner who shows interest to when we are successful in putting trees in the ground. Why Wheatbelt Connect? What's our model? It's an integrated lease model. So we're leasing parcels of land off of a landowner, integrating into their broader operations. So targeting those parcels that might be less productive, they might be slightly saline, and then we can do a planting design that integrates into their operation. We'll cover the project costs for them, and then it brings to the landowner, I guess, a couple of benefits: diversified income opportunity, some land restoration value, but also after a couple of years, depending upon where you are in the Wheatbelt, you can have that grazing opportunity back into those plantings as well, which is good for the trees because it helps mitigate or manage, minimise fire risk, weed burden, but also provide some grazing benefits as well, whilst also providing, I guess, some of that environmental stabilisation benefits as well along the way. And as I said, it can be a diversified income, so it could be income or a share of the carbon credits for a landowner, depending upon, I guess, what their driver is and what they're hoping to achieve and how they want this project to work into their broader operation. There's another aspect to the project which has been interesting but challenging. It's as well as doing the revegetation aspect of Wheatbelt Connect, Qantas was involved because we're doing some research on their behalf on, I guess, different feedstocks for biofuels for SAF production. And so Qantas has a large, carbon liability, but they need to look at changing their fuel mix to help get them towards, to reduce their emissions. And Europe's bringing in mandates, incremental step-up mandates of the sustainable aviation fuel component that you need in your fuel tank if you're landing a plane at Heathrow or I'm not sure, any of these big ports in Europe. And so as a byproduct of that, they have to start looking at alternate feedstocks. So we've done some work about testing native feedstocks for biofuel production. And the early, research lab work has been positive, but it's, I guess there's a big difference between what works in the lab and then what works in a commercial sense at a bigger scale. And I guess we're waiting to get some of those bigger, more results back to see what the viability of it is into the future.
Can I interrupt, Sam?
Sure.
Biofuels versus carbon credits, if you're selling a project for carbon credits and then you harvest it, do you not lose your carbon credit?
You can harvest it at the end, so you could have it, it has to stay in situ for 25 years, but at the end of that permanence period, there may be an opportunity to harvest, or there's other methods that you can go to a harvest methodology. So for example, if you're there's existing vegetation like blue gums or something like that, you could harvest those and then utilise that for a feedstock, and then you get a reduced, I guess, carbon credit return. But so there's different methods. The primary methods that we're focusing on through Wheatbelt Connect are revegetation methods. So it's called the environmental and mallee method, where we're planting either a mixture of natives, so any natives endemic to that part of the state, or a single species planting, depending upon, I guess, the environment that we're in. So in more saline environments, you naturally have to plant more salt-tolerant species, more diversified species, which has higher environmental return, but will drive a lower carbon return because you've got reduced growth rates because it's depressed because you're growing it in more saline environments, which you guys would all appreciate. So, any other questions at this point? So that was where we came from. As I said, in August 23 was to do that first project at Moora. It was about 220, 230 hectares. It was a single species planting, but we did try to push it into some of those more saline environments, which was a good learning for us because as we do more projects, we understand which species do well and respond in which degrees of salinity, and I think that helps us provide better project design, which is good for us as a project, but I also hope is good for a landowner because we're planting species that fit in most neatly and nicely into their environment. And why, I guess, so that's who Wheatbelt Connect is. I guess that's where we've come from. This year, as I said, we're able to do 4 projects, one up around Muckamboodin, one at Wickerburn, and a couple up around Dandaragan. So, and most of the projects that we've done to date, it's been word of mouth, organic, landowners that have engaged with us, refer us to a neighbour or someone within their network. And a couple have come out of, being at the bit of interest coming out of the Woolorama or the Darren Field Days and stuff like that. But as I said at the top, it takes time. It takes time to build currency, I guess, in the community as a good project proponent or a partner of choice. But I feel like with our model being a lease model and integrating, that model seems to be resonating with landowners. And Wheatbelt Connect's not going to be the perfect fit for every farm, every farm in the wheat belt, but for some parts for some parts of some farms, these revegetation projects will be a good fit. And it's also dependent upon what the driver is of the landowner, because I think that plays into it as well. But I think going forward, if it's not Wheat Belt Connect, I think more projects of this type will continue to come forth to shires and be working into operations of landowners going forward. And then I guess why I'm here today is we've been fortunate enough to be having conversations with a family, a landowner in the Shire of Wagen about a potential project for next year. Conversations are ongoing and have been really positive, but if things progress, which we hope they will, we would look to be coming back to the council with a project, a development application in the new year, and I guess seeking your endorsement for that project. It would be around 450 hectares in your shire, across about 28 parcels, so 28 pockets or parcels within a broader aggregation. As I said, planting a mixed, probably 5 or 6 salt-tolerant eucalypt species, row widths about every 6 metres, at a density of about 500 stems per hectare. So thinking back to those salinity plantings that were done in the early 2000s, they were probably 1,000 to 1,200 stems per hectare. So we're reducing the density because under the Clean Energy Regulator or the CFI Act, you need to be able to hit the potential to hit 2 metres of height after 25 years and 20% canopy cover. So what does that mean? That means like they take an aerial photo of my book after 25 years and 20% of that surface area is covered by canopy from the satellite photo. So it's a threshold that we think we can meet, and by having lower density you have better growth rates, but you also have a lower fire risk as well, and then you can have some better inter-row grass growth happening during the process or during the growth periods for that grazing benefit as well. So that's kind of plays into the design that we've been working towards going forward. So that's where we've come from. That's where we're hopefully going. And it's, as I said, it's a great project to work with. One of the benefits that I love doing is I'm working with great farming operations and trying to provide an alternate pathway or a different pathway to support their business. And as I said, it's these Wheat Belt Connect I think will continue just to be a component, I hope, of more landowners' operations going forward, into the short and medium term, and as we go forward. So there you go. Happy to take any questions, and if I've missed anything glaring, there is a flyer there which I hope gives a little bit more kind of detail to the background and our approach. But I did pass out a few cards, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Feel free to give me a bell. I live in the Shire of Plantagenet, and we have a little office front in Katanning, so I actually am in this part of our world quite regularly and dropping in back if, in a month's time or after Chrissy or something, when something pops up, just give us a bell. I'm happy to catch up in person.
Oh. All right, councillors, questions?
It's
Well,
just the minimum size for a project.
Yeah, good question. It would have to be, because we cover all of the project costs, there's like a lot of fixed costs at the start. So we'd need a few hundred hectares, but that doesn't mean 200 hectare, 250 hectare block. It could be, as I said, the project at Wickerton was maybe 350 hectares, but I reckon it was over 30 pockets, and the landowner went around his property, his aggregation, and he identified those parcels of his land that he wasn't cropping, that were lightly grazed. And one of the cool things that we did in Wickerton is we actually used the local Wickerton Sporting Club to do a component of the planting, because that was one of the requests of the landowner, and that was one of them. I don't know if it was their major fundraiser for the year, but it was a decent fundraiser, and they probably had 30 or 40 people that just rocked up for 3 or 4 hours with the potapookies, because we hand plant, and they just knocked over a good chunk, because they had been grazing a component of this land as a fundraiser for the footy club, up until that point. And so we're trying to, I didn't touch on it in the presentation, but we do try to use either the landowner to do, site prep, pre-spraying, ripping and mounding, ripping if it's required, or local contractors, because some landowners either don't have the time or the desire to do it, but they're going to recommend a local contractor that they trust on their property, and it helps us because we're going to get a better outcome, better job, and it also helps because they're going to be local to the community, so you don't have to worry about the cost of bringing, But the other challenge, I won't talk about it, but there's probably two other challenges which we've learnt along the way is seedling capacity. There seems to be a reduction in seedling capacity in the industry, like is it Parnell's at Tincarron have kind of retired, and so that's reduced, and also planting teams. So there's a bit of a shortage of planting teams, so that's why one of the added benefits of using sporting clubs, and we've used Aboriginal ranger groups. We've just tried to think outside the square a bit. But the benefit of doing that is it also keeps that money circulating to getting more in the local communities on the project, which is a good kind of regional development outcome of the project along the way. So.
All right. Further questions? Councillor?
Our local land care has just recently been successful with a government grant for revegetation of farming areas, quite similar to what you're saying with salinity, etc. And they have voiced their concerns about the availability of seedlings, especially when the farmers may want a particular variety, etc. So they received quite a substantial grant for 3 years. So do you receive any government funding at all?
No, we're funded by those three organisations.
Okay.
So it's privately funded by Qantas, ANZ and IMDEX, and they're backing the project in.
Oh, okay, that's really good.
Oh.
So there you go. Yes.
I heard some time ago that Blythe's Tree Farm down in Katanning was starting to propagate again. Is that happening still?
He is, and he went pretty big last year.
Yeah.
He got a few good contracts and did a bit of work, and we've been talking with him, which is good. And so he's come back into the, people have dropped out, but he's come back into the system. He leased it out, he said, for, 6 or 7 years, but he's come back in and, ramped it back up, which has been good. But yeah, no, there is good local capacity still, but I'm sure there'll be a need for more going forward. There you go.
All right. Further? One more from me, perhaps. The plantings east of this town, which was sandalwoods, they mounded it, very, very high mounds. Do you do it on that kind of structure or not quite so vigorous?
Depends, probably maybe a 400mm mound, but it depends where you are. Like in lower valley floors, if it's saline, you'll try to mound a little bit, but I'm telling you stuff you already know, so I apologise, but in higher country you can get away with just a single rib.
Right.
But it depends what land form, I guess, we're utilising or we're looking to.
The reason I ask is I know out there where they've done that, the ability to manage any livestock that go in there, for example, is virtually horses to get them out again. Because motorbike can't do it and the likes, which is the same thing, I suspect, if it was to catch fire.
I guess one of the benefits, and we'll make sure we meet any bushfire requirements that are set through a DA process, and I did see through your bushfire notice that the Shire is guided by the plantation guideline for fire risk management. I've got the title wrong, but I did have a good look at it. But I guess one of the benefits of having 6 metre road widths is you do have capacity, with to get some vehicles up within the roads, and then I guess making sure we meet the obligations or the requirements for access and stuff like that along the way, which is something we're really conscious of. But backing onto saltier environments, you're going to have a much more depressed growth rate. And so that fire burden isn't going to be like a blue gum plantation. We're planting a mixture of mallees and stuff like that, so the fuel load is much lower.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any further? No? All right, thank you very much.
Have a lovely night. Cheers.
You staying on or you're heading out?
I will leave you to your important deliberations.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Sam.
you. We also have with us tonight Jai Wilson. You want to come up, Jai? Jai is from the Balladong Aboriginal Corporation. And I think as much as anything to answer questions, Jai, but perhaps gives an idea of where you're heading.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President, councillors. Thanks for your time this evening. My name's Jai. I work for and on behalf of the Balladong Aboriginal Corporation, which are the traditional owners of the land on which this shire was founded. The agreement between the state of Western Australia and the Noongar people sees the return of some 320,000 hectares of land back to the ownership and control of Noongar people, including land holdings within the Shire of Wagin. We found out through DPLH that the Shire may have some interest in discussions about parcels of land that are on offer. So I said to your CEO that we're quite happy to come and start a relationship, a conversation to see what that interest might be and to see if some of our thoughts and concerns about zoning and permitted use of particular land parcels could also enter into that discussion. So I'm here to say hello. This can be the start of ongoing conversations and discussions, and I'm happy to answer any curious questions that any of you might have about the process and how it's unfolding.
All right, councillors?
Just a question about the timeline. I guess of particular interest in commercial land in town, backgrounded by the fact that there's some wind turbines kicking around shortly in the Katanning gold mine, and we have a shortage of commercial land, I guess, and I suppose that prompts the question that we'd be talking to you about some joint agreement, some land swaps, something or other along those lines that would benefit for both of us.
Yeah, look, the Balladong Aboriginal Corporation has an open mind to discussing anything, but as I'm sure you'll appreciate, there will have to be mutual benefit in any exchange, and happy to consider any thoughts that you have around that. The timeline is being extended by the state government. When the initial documents were drafted by a lawyer, they thought that 5 years was a nice round number, and that some 3,500 parcels of land could be dealt with within that time period. Of course it cannot, so the state has extended the time period. Some of the land parcels that are on offer are complicated because, as you can imagine, most of the good land has already been taken, and so land that is on offer is inherently marginal in nature. Sometimes there is not a compatible or useful zoning or permitted use attached to the land that's on offer, and so the ability to unlock its potential requires discussions that could be had with local governments like this. So within the next 3 to 5 years, I guess is the worst case scenario, that if we can get land that has value that is appropriately zoned, then we can have that land fast tracked.
Okay, that's encouraging. From my point of view, the Balladong, are you likely to be developing sites as well, rather than just commercialising them for others?
Yeah, so the land comes across either as freehold, or it comes across as a management order on top of a Crown Reserve, and the purpose of that management order is for the social, cultural and economic benefit of the Noongar people. So some of the land that's on offer is prospective for housing, some of the land that's on offer is prospective for commercial opportunities, for renewable energy projects, some of the land are scrappy bits of road reserve. It's a real mixed bag, as I'm sure you can appreciate, and so we're in the process of filtering through all of that to see what the highest and best use is, and to see if we can get zoning and permitted use that's compatible with the highest and best use.
It's going to be a big task.
It is, yeah. There's about currently 658 parcels of land covering about 170,000 hectares on offer for the Balladong area. If you haven't seen the map, it's what you all might understand to be the Wheatbelt region, an area about the size of Tasmania. And there's a lot of opportunities amongst that, but it requires some filtering through. There's a lot of different local governments to deal with across that area as well.
Yeah.
And we understand that the local governments themselves are not as well resourced as they might like to be. That's a challenge that the Balladong Aboriginal Corporation faces too.
All right, councillors, anything further? CEO, you have any additional thoughts?
No, I guess, leading the context is that there's obviously officers have been trying to extract from the department information about this while the Aboriginal corporations are being established and maturing as their own entities. This is an interesting phase where the department is kind of getting out of this exercise. I think it's a fair bit. They're ready to say mission accomplished and do the hands, and then our conversations are with going to be more and more with the Aboriginal corporations, of which we have all three in our shire, which is exciting. Balladong really is the one that covers the greater of the town site, albeit that Nalagala Budger, in terms of sheer percentage of the shire, probably actually has the largest holdings in the western part of the district, but may not actually have the most number of parcels, but it just covers on the map the largest part. Welcome the further discussions with Jai and the team there, and I think we are very interested in how we've obviously identified several parcels of interest for the shire, both from a residential and also a commercial standpoint, and some of those scrappy bits of road reserve that are very much of interest to myself, but obviously keen to continue to have engagement with our local community and of course our local Aboriginal community as well. And so I guess my question, turning to a question, is right, where to from now, from your perspectives of how, as a shire, we can continue to engage with Balladong?
Yeah, okay, so probably start with decision-making processes. So I'm sure you've all received briefs over time, but there's quite a complex arrangement in which the state disposes of the land to a trust. The trust is managed by a professional trustee. That trust holds the title to the land, but then the interest to the land gets leased to the regional corporation with the power to sublease. It's quite a complicated way of giving land back, but in order for the professional trustee to give an interest in the land to the regional corporation, a decision from the board of directors of the regional corporation has to be given to the trustee and considered. So the board is the ultimate decision-making power, and my job as staff is to discover opportunities and present those to the board with a recommendation for their final decision. So where to from here? I'm happy if council is happy for you as the CEO to have those discussions. We can look into the detail of what it is that you're hoping to achieve. We can talk about zoning and permitted use across all of the land parcels that are on offer, and I'm sure that would come back to council for decision. It would also go back to the board of directors for decision, and then ultimately to the trustee for the final say.
The phrase zoning and permitted use has been used a couple of times.
Yes.
We have our local planning scheme, I think, has some fairly. It's not the most complicated one in terms of our geography. We have a clear industrial area, we have a clear residential area for the most part. Sure, there's some blending in like that. In terms of changes to zoning and permitted use, are there any specific ones that you have identified in looking at our district about ideas in that space?
We can go through that parcel by parcel, I guess, when we sit down to have that discussion. Is there any plans on foot to do any amendments to your town planning scheme in the near future, or is it a settled document for now? Where are you at?
We've just gone through a local planning strategy process, which obviously is that overarching document that identifies some land for potential investigation for industrial area, and also identifies potential greater sophistication in the classifications of various types of urban, peri-urban kind of rural blocks and the like. Being a planning strategy, it also carries with it a whole series of recommendations for the Shire to make amendments to the scheme in future times to, in line with state planning policies. If there are specific proposals that were put forward, officers would present that to council and have council's consideration of them.
It sounds like this is a good time to review that document and have those discussions then. So if we've got any feedback that we can give to council for its consideration in making its town planning scheme changes, we'd be pleased to do so.
All right, anything further? I guess, have you an idea of when these transfers will happen?
There are a lot of externalities beyond our control. Preparation of transfer documents, titles and deeds sits with various government departments, and I hope it's a quick process, but it could take up to 12 months for some of that paperwork to go through if there's...
So it's not the 5 years of the extension we've heard about, that's sort of where I was going.
No, that's to deal with the whole of the 320,000 hectares across the 6 different regions.
Right.
Individual parcels of land that are of priority for the regional corporation can be fast-tracked.
Okay. Good. All right. Anything further? Okay, thanks, Johnny. That's most informative.
That's very much welcome.
Keep in touch with our CEO and
Good.
hopefully it'll work for both sides.
Okay, thanks very much for your time.
Good. Okay, we have another couple of guests in the room. Are you wishing to present to council?
Wasn't expecting to.
No, it's not a requirement. You're quite welcome to sit and listen.
I can speak if you like, yeah.
If you wish to, now's your opportunity.
I bet.
Do you wish to come forward? Sure.
Okay.
Just, if you will, come forward, present your name for the record.
I'm Tom Patterson. Haven't done any preparation, but I suppose I'm interested in talking about road trade movements on the Shire's roads, and possibly lifting the weight ratings that trucks are allowed to travel with on their trailers. Yes, I believe it's a step forward for the Shire. There are some concerns that need to be addressed with culverts and bridges, but I would argue we can get around these issues with some special requirements to reduce the likelihood of damage, if the damage can be proved to be linked with more grain and fertiliser on each axle. What else? I suppose my point of view would be there is X amount of grain and product that has to move on the roads regardless, and whether it's done, say, in our region, the East Wagen region, whether that's done with 10,000 trips back and forth to town or 12,000, the same amount of product has to move either to Perth, from Perth, or to Wagen. And I believe, the conversation about the most efficient way to do that, where everyone's happy, is possibly worth having.
All right.
Yeah, well, I'll finish it there.
All right, thank you. Just around the room, questions? Councillor West?
Yeah, look, is it right that if you travel through a road in a Wagen Shire road, you've actually got to reduce your tonnage versus other shires to go? In other words, it's not travelling through; it's where the grain comes from. But for instance, for you to go to Perth, you've got to travel through a Wagen Shire road. Is that correct?
Yeah, you've raised the point I forgot about. Thanks, Jeff. And yeah, we can. Yeah, you're saying from Perth up until say Belaine Bin, we can travel with 65 tonne on the truck, but from Belane to our farm, and for a lot of farmers, we can't carry on with that 65 tonne, we have to carry 60, because that last bit in the Wagen Shire is not rated for the same as the route from Perth to that point.
And-
Have I got that right? What
Yeah,
is it?
okay, and same in return.
Same in return, yeah. If we want to go to Perth, in our situation, and most farmers and grain trucking operators would operate a pocket road train, which is 2 trailers, and most would be carrying 60 tonne. But if we could achieve a road rating, was it not HVS rating of AM3, which is accredited mass management scheme, yeah, we could travel from Perth to any farm in the Wagen, a farm with 65 tonne instead of 60. Yeah, I think I've covered that.
All right, thank you.
So it's an extra 5 tonne. I probably should have mentioned that in my original spiel. I'd say most operators aren't going for, 4 trailers. We'd be sticking with the existing sort of industry standard of 2 trailers for a road train, pocket road train, and hoping to carry 65 tonne instead of 60. An additional 5 tonne, which with, I thought, some conditions like nighttime conditions, maybe 60 k's an hour, it could happen, but yeah.
All right, Councillor Philpott, wrong one, Chilcott, he's not here.
I actually have a question of the manager of works. What
Sure.
what difference does that 5 make?
It all depends, like I
To
said,
the
on
roads.
your culverts, because none of them culverts are ever constructed to carry that weight. Well, we had problems with it last year, collapsing everywhere.
Is
So
there,
that, if we can upgrade the culverts, then it'd be different, yeah.
is there concrete evidence to link AM3 with that? Because none of the roads are rated for AM3 anyway, so.
Yeah, but then people are still using it.
So if I might step in,
Sure.
I'm very happy to have a conversation
Yes.
with Ian. The roads, we're a farming community, and the roads are there for people to use for farming, and that's something I very, very strongly believe in. Have a conversation. I think one of the when this matter was brought to council's attention last year, there was a landowner that was requesting some roads be upgraded to RAV7, and one of the points of clarification that provided the opportunity to explain was that ultimately the decisions about whether a road is RAV7 or RAV4 or the like are actually main roads decisions.
Yes.
And there is a process where the application goes through main roads. The Shire has a voice in that, but it is not by all means the final voice on that. And that main roads can overrule the Shire's viewpoint, regardless of whether the Shire actually thinks it's good or not. We've actually had situations where, in 2024, where the Shire said, we think there should be a RAV7 road, based on an application by a landowner, and Main Roads went, no, it's going to be a RAV4. There's been other circumstances where the applicant has been made to upgrade or to lift the rating. Main Roads has come to the Shire, and the Shire has objected to it. So it is on a case-by-case basis, but ultimately this Main Roads is the decision maker. They are the ones that determine the arguments about whether more trailers or heavier trailers or the vibrations on the mechanics, and these are obviously conversations that occur. And I think there's different viewpoints even from engineers seemingly about this, but that doesn't matter so much because actually Main Roads is called. And so if there are landowners that would like to see upgrades to that, I would encourage them to go through that main roads process, because as much as I understand the importance of the viewpoints and considerations in this room, it actually isn't this room that makes that determination, as we have seen in past examples.
Thanks for that. I'm not even sure it's appropriate I share this topic. I had no idea I'd have the opportunity. I'm just, yeah.
I think that just, there are probably two issues there. The RAV rating and the heavy vehicle service AMS3 rating are separate.
Okay.
So in our particular instance, we send 50,000 tonne of grain to Perth, which is on AMS1 to 60 tonne to the main road, which the extra 5 tonne is arguable that it doesn't make that much difference. The changing the RAV rating to RAV7 to allow sea trains and whatnot with more axles and 75 tonne loaders, that's a big step. So
Right, yeah.
I'm certainly biased in my opinion, but I agree with Sam in the fact that the AMS3 rating is not much of a step, and it does give some commonality to those loads of the trucks that go from off the main network to distant places, or whether it be lime coming from wherever, coming back to a farm.
Oh, yes,
So,
Yeah.
something we should be looking at. I believe the Works Committee will consider this sometime. So,
Yeah, I'd agree. Going to sea trains would probably be a quantum leap for the culture of the farming community,
yes.
but upgrading the pocket road train system seems, like a manageable concept.
So,
Yeah, Tom.
sorry, Councillor Ball, you might educate me as well then. So to go from where we currently are to that extra 5 tonne, is that like a RAV5?
No.
It's a RAV4 still, remains a RAV4.
Yes. There are two, without being too long-winded, as you go into that, it's a harvest mass management scheme going into CBH where you get a certain loading.
Yep.
But if you can load to AMS3 with the heavy vehicle services rating, then you actually go over that harvest mass management scheme figure by that 4.5 tonne or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, harvest mass management's pretty good. It's almost as good as M3.
Yes.
Yeah, is that what you're saying?
No, it's not quite. There
Not
is.
quite, not quite, but it's pretty good, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
It's a very
All
simple
right.
system.
Yeah, we're all full bottle on the system. Look, thanks for coming along. I think it's important that we do air that, and yes, the Works Committee needs to have a look at that, and as much as anything, understand the ramifications of it going forward. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure. If it's not the wrong place to speak, I'm sorry.
no, it's actually the right place to speak.
I think
Then.
you're right. For us to advocate for change through main roads, we need, we need approval from local government as well. So it is part of the process. So
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks very
Absolutely.
much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming along.
You spoke very well.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you wish.
It might be a while.
By all means. All right, councillors, we will move along. I'm assuming one other guest in the room. Charlie, are you wishing to address council?
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a yes. Okay, you wish to come forward?
I'd like to thank the Shire for inviting me to this meeting tonight, and just to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a local elder in Mason, and my fight is for my culture, looking after our Aboriginal sites and protecting them, and also working with the Shire to bring that together, so that we all work together, looking after those sites, including the Aboriginal Reserve just at the back there in Warren. There's a campsite out there for maybe over 100 years ago, and the site's still there and never been talked about or looked after. I'm trying to follow in the footsteps of my elders and take on what they left, and try to bring the community together, like with ourselves and with the community, and trying to protect our sites and cultural areas for the future generation of our people. make sure that our kids understand the importance of those sites and those burial sites and the ground where my ancestors walked. And it's a big footstep to follow in, but I'm trying to teach our younger generation about our culture and talk to them about respecting our culture, our language, and all of that, all putting together, so that they understand a bit about our culture. So, yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions from around the room?
No, at this stage,
No? Yes, that's what.
Charlie, how do you see the Shire Council helping you in this endeavour?
Well, I've been engaging with Ken for quite a while now, just talking and trying to move forward, and slowly it's sort of coming together, and I'm trying to pull Balladong in too, because we're part of Balladong, and I think Balladong owe us a bit more looking after and talking to us too, and sitting around the table with us and talking about our cultural sites and as our grave sites and all that stuff that's in and around Waging. So I think Balladong has got a big role to play in Waging. We are right on the tip of Balladong, but we are members of Balladong, and I think Balladong need to come and sit with us and talk about our culture and our sites. The most important thing is our sites and our burial sites. That's what I'm interested in. I've been speaking to Ken about it. So he's been quite helpful with me and helped me along too sometimes. So yeah, so it's based on trying to get Balladong to come down and have meetings with us to talk about those sites. And like for instance, we've done a lot of work out on Parkering Lake out there, and it's a walk trail. It's a very good one. But since the Friends of the Waging Lakes, don't know if they're still going or not, but it still needs a bit of work out there. And some of my group in town is quite keen to get out there and do some more work out there and make it a trail so that we can do it as a cultural tour thing and show people where the Aboriginal people walked and lived and fed off the land now. So all that sort of stuff, that's what we need to do. And it's not happening in Waging, it should do. And it should be taught through the schools. And wherever it's mentioned, so here, so that it lives on. I've been learned a lot from my elders past, and I'm just trying to carry out the flag for them so that it doesn't end up nowhere. So, and I'm trying to teach the younger generation at school to respect our culture and also respect the community, you know. So bringing those two groups together as one. That's what I like to see happen down the track. Is because there's been a lot of bad feelings in the community so far. There's a lot of things that's going on around town. So that's the thing that we have to try and break up and make them understand that we need to think about other things in life and moving forward.
All right.
I've spoken.
That's progressive. All right, well, you'll keep in contact with Ken and see if we can make that happen.
No, thank you.
All right, thanks for coming along.
Thank you.
No other guests in the room? All right, councillors, we will move along. We have item 5, yes, disclosure of interests with regards to the agenda. No, if you do find an interest, please declare. Item 6, previous meeting minutes, and they are the minutes of the ordinary meeting held 28th of October 2025, and the motion that, or recommendation at least, that they be confirmed. Councillor Ball has moved, Councillor Chilcott, got it right, seconds. Is there any dissent on that motion? I shall declare that carried. I think there's 6 of us, 6 and 0. Okay. Item 8, and item 8.1.1, the financial report. On page 9 is a recommendation that council receive. Thank you. Councillor O'Brien has moved. Councillor Ball seconds. Manager of Finance?
No.
Nothing to add? No? Okay, questions of the Manager of Finance? There was one which I recorded with regards to the home care salaries, which the CEO has answered, so that's fine. There are no questions. Is there any dissent on the motion? I declare that carried at 6 and 0. Next item will be on
53.
Page 53, thank you. The schedule of payments for the month of October, and there's a recommendation that council receive. Thank you. Councillor Chilcott has moved. Councillor Ball seconds. Once again, the opportunity to ask questions of those accounts. There being none, is there any dissent on the motion? Shall declare that carried, 6 and 0 also. Item 8.1.3, we have the CEO's activity report, a recommendation that council notes the report. They're all asleep. Thank you. Councillor Chilcott has moved. Councillor Reid seconds. Mr. CEO, anything you need to expand upon?
I just observed that I did attend the 4WDL meeting today at the Shire of Woodnelling, in addition to the updates on the key strategic areas. There was an interesting presentation from our colleagues at the Shire of Dumbleyung about their 50-year road plan. And shout out to the Dumbleyung CEO if he's listening to this recording.
He may listen to this recording, yes. I believe he does. Okay, thank you. Any questions of the CEO's report? No. Has been moved and seconded. Is there any dissent? So declare that carried. Absolutely. 8.1.4. As you can read, a mandatory review of policy A21, continuing professional development of elected members. Mr. CEO.
Just again, the curiosity of the Act that is required to be formally reviewed by council at each ordinary election, which is as presented for council's consideration.
Councillor Ball has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Reid. Any questions? Dissent on the motion? Carried 6 and 0. 8.1.5, local laws review. Consideration of submissions. Having received no submissions.
No submissions.
And a recommendation before you, councillors. Councillor Reid has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ball. Questions? Any dissent on the motion? For novelty value, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried 6 and 0. Progress update 8.1.6 on the CEO's KPIs of Capital Works Program. Council, the recommendation there, council notes the updated progress and the CEO's KPIs of Capital Works Program. You moving, Councillor Chilcott?
I am,
As written?
as written.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor O'Brien. Anything to add, Mr. CEO?
Just this is obviously a report we haven't necessarily done previous years, but in the lead up to the mid-year budget review process and the end of the calendar year, I thought it was worthwhile to reflect on the work that's been done, and I give full credit to my team for the progress to date. Overall, the Capital Works program is going quite well. The roads program certainly is on track, and we've made some very good progress on the building maintenance aspects as well. There may be some projects that, as we get to the mid-year budget review, we look at opportunities to defer some items, but given there has been a few unforeseen circumstances such as the town hall, overall I think it's actually going quite well.
Good. Councillor West?
In your report there, I'm sure this was the one there about the tank at the showgrounds. Will that be up before the Woolarama?
That will be a little bit dependent on the timetable for suppliers providing the tank. So one of the councillors from the Shire of Williams, it was actually at the 4WDL meeting today, is from one of the potential suppliers, and had indicated that the government's decisions about the community waterships water program might result in quite a number of local governments seeking suppliers to build those all at the same time, which might result in a little bit of a delay. But until we go through that procurement process,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just thought I'd ask.
But it was observed at that meeting.
Fair enough. All right, anything further? Yes?
Just wanted to ask a question about the SAM trailer. So initially we were advised it wasn't working, but at the last meeting, our manager of work said, surprisingly, that it is now working. So do we need to take that item off, or?
Yeah, so the status of the SAM trailer, and I appreciate council's patience and indulgence on this one. It is certainly one that has vexed me. I've been in correspondence personally with the manufacturers of the SAM trailer. They have advised that the Shire should transport the trailer back up to them and get them to have a look at, because there are a number of constituent components to it. There's the software, there's the computer, there's the actual trailer itself. If any of those three components is busted, then they need to be repaired, but of course they can't over the phone tell me what's wrong. So I appreciate that this has been a saga of sorts. We will know more once we get that thing on a trailer up to Perth and for it to be taken a look at in those various component parts. And if this is as an older model as I am told, then the chances of repairing the actual electronic components in terms of the firmware and the like are less likely to be able to occur. But the only people that can actually tell us are the manufacturers.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave it there for now.
Technically it works, but maybe not. Yep, all right. Any further questions?
I will make a comment here, if that's okay, to the CEO, is that our smiley face lines work absolutely incredibly well compared to a lot of other Shire towns that I drive through. A lot of my drive through, it's no difference in here that, well, oh, okay, thanks, I've got a smiley face, well, slow down. Where the ones that you've set up are a fantastic distance to adjust your speed accordingly. So I just thought I'd pass that on.
So they're actually recording over a longer distance?
Oh, my word, yeah. So it gives you a chance to, to slow down, but a lot of them there only give you 50 metres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've been set up very well to whoever did it.
All right, duly noted. All right, if there are no further questions, is there any dissent on the motion? I shall declare it carried at 6-0. We can move on page 71 to the ordinary council meeting dates of 2026 already. A recommendation that we, what's the word, that we accept those dates, give notice?
Request I give notice, yes.
All right.
I'll move, just with the question about the August meeting being a bit early, is the local government conference on at that time?
So the local government conference does tend to float around a little bit. Obviously last year we did have to move the ordinary council meeting about that. The dates for the Wellwood Convention I don't believe have been set, and I do think they do tend to float a little bit, so we may need to revisit that date. But yeah, that's
That is why.
Yeah, it's generally why we would need to revisit is sometimes that we can be a bit squirrely.
Okay. You've moved, councillor Ball. Thank you. Seconded, councillor O'Brien. Is there anything further? Any dissent? Shall declare that carried, 6-0. Okay, item 8.1.8. The bushfire risk management plan in attachment 1. This has been before the LEMAC, or LEMC, as they're called, Mr. CEO.
It has, yes.
Recently, and it was drafted to be passed by the LEMC.
Yeah, there was a couple of modifications after some contact details on Lake were changed, and there was a reference to a pipeline included.
There was. Yep, all right. Councillors, recommendation is there. Councillor Ball is moving on the recommendation. Do I have a second? Councillor West. Okay, questions, councillors? You've read the document, I hope. Is there any dissent on the motion? I shall declare it carried. Absolutely. Yeah, where are we up to?
1, 2, 6.
Oh, goodness me.
Sorry?
1, 2, 6.
1, 2, 6.
1, 2, 6. On the ball, councillor West.
I'll just mark that one up.
Item 8.1.9. Sports ground meter box replacements. A bit of a saga around this one, Mr. CEO.
Yeah, so we'll have the discovery so far.
Yeah, I won't go into the theatrics of the electrics of our showgrounds. You know what I mean, councillor. Councillor Chilcott, are you moving on the
I am moving,
recommendation?
yes.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor West. I do note in there a lot of other tasks are contingent on this being done, CEO.
Yes, absolutely. This is going to be a little bit of an exercise in project management and good community engagement and stakeholder relations as well, because it will be affecting a number of entities, including, I would emphasise that it will affect all showground users, including the RV area, because that entire site will be powered down for the duration of the installation period, which I'm told is going to be the maximum of 5 days.
Right. Yep. Councillor West?
May I ask a question?
You may.
Slightly diverting. Later on in the agenda things there, we're putting power into the new pavilion, so to speak. Where is that going to come from, the initial feeding?
I must say I'm not aware of where that's going to occur. I assume it's coming in from the other adjacent building, but I don't know for sure.
So that'll just be a loop, there's a loopity-loop.
Hobby shed, it's from the grandstand.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
Thought you'd have an idea. Thank you. All right, we'll move on, councillors. This recommendation has been moved and seconded. Is there any dissent on the motion? Does it need an absolute majority, Mr. CEO, in this case? I thought it might. Okay, no dissent. I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Carried, absolutely. 6-0. Speaking of the next item, Councillor West, 8.1.10.
When you were something.
You're just showing that you have read the agenda.
I'll mark that one too.
So there's a recommendation the council approves the expenditure. Moving, Councillor Ball. Do I have a second? Councillor Reid. Anything further, Mr. CEO?
No, but the electrician might have 2 jobs tomorrow.
Okay.
Our pool.
Yeah, okay.
It's okay.
Councillor West, you have a question?
The question is this only a temporary power supply and lighting supply to this new building, or is this the power supply? And what I'm getting at is, got down here 2 double power points into that building.
Yeah, so it's I would describe it as a working exercise. So until the building is we have a detailed design, a fit out, costed, and a builder to do the fit out. Obviously, the 2 clubs will be using this as a principle as a storage area. To meet those needs, they'll need to have lights and some power fittings. I would suspect that the design of the permanent fit out would involve additional electrical installation.
Right. Happy with that, councillor West?
Thank you.
Councillor O'Brien?
I've noticed here that there's a oven included or an isolation point. I thought this was more of a storage type of area. Why is there going to be an oven, kitchen, sink?
In the proposed future use of the venue, the club certainly indicated that they would like to have a kitchenette and showers and the like. Now, we need to go back and firm up what that looks like and how that is funded and what the different clubs want and the different intricacies of individuals in those clubs and the ladies team and the men's team and all those things. There is some level of forward thinking in terms of this initial fit out.
Yep.
But not a great deal.
Okay,
It's a work in progress.
definitely by the sound of it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, anything further? Is there any dissent on the motion? I have a mover and a second. I have. There being no dissent, I shall declare it carried at 6-0. The next item being 8.1.11 on page 130.
30.
Thank you. Is with opportunity to comment on the statutory review of Work Health and Safety Act, and CEO's submission is attached. Councillors,
Yes, succinct.
you happy to move, Councillor Ball?
Yes.
Yes. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Chilcott, Mr CEO, anything you wish to add?
Just to observe that the Local Government Professionals Association this afternoon submitted its proposed submission to its members, which myself and several of my colleagues here are,
Right.
and probably a little bit stronger in language than the draft that I've prepared here, but reflects many of the similar things, particularly as they relate to the management of our bushfire brigades, which
Really?
is a point of concern around the state and amongst my colleagues certainly.
Okay. All right, councillors, you've heard. Is there any further, any questions? Any dissent on the motion? Declared carried at 6-0.
133.
On page 133, the recommendation with regards to the staff accommodation strategy. Mr CEO, I think we'll go to you first.
Sure. So at the October council meeting, council opted to not proceed with the business plan as advertised and request that the administration present alternative options to council. There was a meeting with myself, the Shire President, Executive President and Councillor Ball where we mapped out a potential way forward. That is presented as option 1 in the report. As an officer and reflecting about the journey that we have been on in the last 18 months on this, the officer's recommendation is not to proceed with that proposal, but instead to go down the path of procuring 2 3x2 properties to identify or to address the key initial challenge, which is additional housing in the event that key personnel who currently occupy houses of alternative housing arrangements depart, which would need us, leave us in a difficult position, sans housing. So, and defers the renewal program on the basis that we hope that we might be able to get some the money through the regional housing program, or we may be able to look at that as a longer term program once we have the learnings of this current exercise done. I have had some conversations with a couple of elected members about this paper, and there are times as an officer where you need to make a recommendation, and you recognise that there are pros and cons associated with all the different options, and I give council the hard decisions.
Well put. Moving, councillor Wall,
Yes.
as written.
Yes, I'll move as written.
All right, do I have a seconder? Councillor Chilcott. My only question here, Mr CEO, would be with regards to the loan, is that already accounted in our budget? So you don't have to go through an extraordinary process?
Yeah, so I might defer to my colleague.
Well, that would be my understanding, Mr President, that we have a loan within the budget that is significantly larger than what we're proposing. So my understanding would be that we don't need to go through a process required under the Act for where you don't have a particular loan in the budget.
Although the actual loan amount I'm suspecting would be cleaned up in the mid-year budget review.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Having said that, just the capital income and transfers, probably because we didn't actually include any repayments as such within the budget itself. So it's a nil sum game really, because the excess payments were always going to be ring fenced within the reserve anyway. So it'll have, I don't believe, any sort of impact on the net result.
And sorry to, for council's clarification as well, my own clarification, thinking about it again, the decision tonight is not to undertake the loan, because the formal decision regarding the loan is proposed to be made when we actually agree to the tenders, which will be after the mid-year budget process. So
Okay.
makes it
Yep.
crystal clear with the council about that.
Yep. Yeah, but I get my question is, it's a simple process of this loan
That's
because
correct.
we have budgeted for
That's
it
correct.
already.
Yes, there's no requirement for the monthly advertising
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that, thank you. Councillor O'Brien?
Just for my clarity, because I'm a little bit confused,
Sure.
not confused, but just wanting clarity. You've got two options in here, and so are we going with one or the other, or both being put out,
So the officer's recommendation is listed as option 2.
of
in
which
this
I'm
document.
supportive of? Yes.
Yeah, so the officer recommendation option is option 2.
Okay.
Option 1 is the full renewal program, albeit with a revised funding arrangement.
Okay. So is that part of what we're voting on? Is option 2?
I believe so.
Yes, option 2 is the motion that's been put forward as moved and
Thank you. I
seconded.
just
Yes.
needed that clarity.
Yep, no,
Yeah, no, fair enough. All right, so it has been moved and seconded. Is there any,
I'm just,
sorry,
just,
Councillor Ball, yes?
just one further point on it. That's why I was keen on after the discussion with Mr CEO last week, that we should also be bearing in mind that we need to keep the contribution to the staff housing reserve ongoing. We have a loan repayment in the 20s, which is far less than we've been contributing, but we don't want to think that the strategy is all over and we shouldn't keep tucking money away in the reserve for future endeavours.
That's right. And Councillor Ball rightly pointed out some of the discussions between the meetings. We do have a few loans related to the pool and 2 properties which in the course of this loan would be paid off and may provide an additional of sorts of revenue separately in that regard. So the final point I would mention to council is that officers are working with the consultant that the 4WDL local governments have appointed on a proposal to the state government for funding through that regional housing development fund. The proposal that's going forward effectively seeks the state government's support to fund option 1, excluding the 2 3x2 houses tonight. So the 2 3x2 houses, we pay for those. But the rest of the renewal program, which involves buying new houses to replace the ones that we've got and selling those, it proposes that the state government funds that difference. And so if we are successful for that, potentially the renewal program, as we've contemplated, can go forward. But we'll see.
Right. Contingent on a lot of
Oh,
contingencies.
yes.
I also note dot point 5 in this process. I think it's quite important that we identify the priority maintenance, because that will give us either the clue that we retain those houses or we don't, to some degree, depending on that maintenance schedule. So I think that's an important part of what we're looking at there. All right, so moved and seconded. Is there anything further, councillors? Is there any dissent on the motion? Not, I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Against? It's carried absolutely.
144.
0, thank you. Page 144. And I went past it. Okay, 8.1.13, the Wagin Woodnelling Land Care Zone direction following successful state down grant. It was very successful with the CEO. Do you need to or have anything additional?
No, I might have actually missed a number in the first dot point there, which should actually say over the next 3 years.
Yes.
Should have been in there. Next year's is still accurate, but perhaps not as specific as it should be. No, the council will be aware that we've had a lot of discussions with Wagin Woodnelling Land Care since January, when the Natural Reserves Officer resigned. It's kind of been on hiatus. Annabelle Pawley, who is the Woodnelling community representative and a very, very passionate advocate of land care, has done a power of work and successfully obtained a very large grant over the next 3 years of almost $450,000 for a revegetation project, and a smaller grant of nearly $37,000 for some education activities in Woodnelling. Her efforts have given the Wagin Woodnelling Land Care a new lease on life, and the opportunity presents itself for council to reconsider its the level of involvement that it has in this organisation, which obviously there's a long history, and this recommendation comes with the support of the President and Secretary being the primary community members, but is very much submitted for Council's consideration.
All right, thank you. Councillors, how do you wish to do?
I'm happy to move it.
You're moving. Councillor Ball has moved. Councillor O'Brien seconds. Comfortable? Anything further? Any dissent on the motion? Should declare that carried 6-0. 8.1.2, sorry, 8.2.1, I'm dyslexic as well. Mr. Deputy CEO's activity report and a recommendation that we receive. Mr. West has moved, Councillor Reid seconds. Mr. Deputy, anything you wish to expand upon?
Oh, I guess just to mention the CEO's email today regarding the issues with the recirculation pump at the pool, which has caused the closure of the 50-metre pool temporarily at the moment. We're working hard to, we think that we've got through Clint, the contractor Quakes contractor, a replacement pump that we're thinking probably fits. It's going to be brought down first thing tomorrow morning, so we're hoping that that can be implemented on site. There's been some work by the Sparkies to identify issues, and we think that the pump is pretty well failing or failed. So there has been issues with not being able to switch the pump back on when it is switched off, one reason or another. There's also now issues that have developed with the pump actually switching off on its own. So there's been several issues compounded which have caused the thing to to somewhat, get away from us a little bit. So we're hoping that all is well by the end of this week and that things will be up and running again. That's the social media post we've put out this afternoon.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes, Councillor Bryan?
Can I just ask a question about
Sure.
the benches and the chairs? We've written that they are for the wetland and the sports ground. Is that just around, aside from the wetlands, for the sports ground, is that just around the oval? Or is that around where the RV parking or in that main road as well?
Mr. President, it's really to replace the existing concrete and wooden ones that were still around some of those areas. So I think around maybe the main drag where the CWA building is, I think there's one or two around there. I can't quite remember all of the locations, but it was to pretty much replace all the remaining ones that weren't replaced last year on the sports ground. But they can be relocated if there's demand. We have, I think, purchased seven for that area, and I think 12 for the wetlands. So, but that, we'll probably do the worst with the wetlands and see how they go. I don't often see a lot of people sitting on those benches, but it's probably because of the condition that they're in. So yeah, I think
okay.
they can be moved depending on demand.
Yeah, it'd just be good to be able to get small chairs around that RV area or around where there's some trees and on that main drive area, especially more so for Woolarama, because that's one comment I hear a lot from visitors, is that there's no seating for people to sit, and to limit it to just where the current ones are. I know it's replacing, but I just think if we can look at getting more and spreading them out a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. We'll definitely
And
have a look at
trees.
All right, I think you're quite right. All right, anything further? Councillor
Just
Hall, you look worried?
one very minor point on the permits and the owners is just a Christian name. Is that by intention to?
Where are you looking?
That I think, Mr. President, must be just a formatting thing in the table, because I believe that the surnames would be in there. Unfortunately, it hasn't come through on the Word document.
I'm not bothered either way. I was just curious.
Maybe they were the Brazilian soccer players and only have one name.
I should have thought of that.
Councillor West?
Yeah, through the chair, may I ask what sort of damage was done to the community bus?
There's quite a large scrape along one side. I think it was. I think that a vehicle came along and sort of drove into it, so it was quite extensively damaged while it was just sitting there.
That's not good. Is it drivable?
Well, it's drivable, but yeah, you wouldn't drive it at the moment. We wouldn't hire it out at the moment.
Okay.
Because from the point of view of having patrons in it, it wouldn't be appropriate.
It looks like someone's taken a giant can opener to it.
Huh? Okay.
Doused it, really.
Okay. Is that going to impact on people who have forward hired this?
Well, it has impacted some people already, yes. It hasn't been fixed yet, so potentially others that wanted it, yes.
That's good. All right, comfortable?
May I ask another question through the chair?
Sure.
Am I correct in saying that the buses, we're looking at a new one for next year?
I believe it's in the forward plant replacement program.
Yeah, I think it is next year, yeah.
On that, okay, I'm just thinking a little bit about, on that note then, if it's going to be taking a while to repair it then, is it in an interest there to look at replacing it now? I'm only
haven't-
asking a question.
We haven't contemplated that proposal. I think that our basis for that is that the community bus, we recognise to be a fairly important piece of plant vehicle equipment that there will be a lot of opinions on, and we want to get right in terms of accessibility. We wouldn't want to necessarily rush that decision by bringing it that forward without going through a process of needs identification and engagement with our Works and Services Committee.
Sure.
Yep, all right, I'll have a look at the options. All right, anything further? I believe it has been moved and seconded. Is there any dissent on the motion? Not, I shall declare it carried, 6-0. We move on page 156. 8.2.2, the acceptance of the annual report, setting of the date for the annual general meeting of electors. The recommendation is there. Councillor Ball has moved. Councillor Reid seconds. Mr CEO, that's in line with our timing, our timeline at least, as the Auditor General noted. We've hit the deadline.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Never in doubt.
No, well, not at all. Any questions, councillors? Any dissent on the motion? Okay, I shall declare that carried 6-0. Well done, all concerned. 8.4.1, the Works and Services Report. There's a recommendation of council notes. Manager of Works report. Councillor Chilcott has moved. Councillor Reid seconds. Manager of Works, anything you wish to add?
Yeah, just that we'll be sealing the Bugaring Road tomorrow, making it 7 metres wide through there for the first 2 coves, and then we go and do a pad for the sea container at the new taxiway at the airstrip. And on page 160 there's a mistake. It's got stabilising of shoulders. It's actually stabilising of the full taxiway.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be stabilising that on the 3rd of December, and the seal's been brought forward to the 9th, not the 11th.
Okay, good.
Mr. President, one of the line items there, which is actually probably more impressive than what it reads in paper there, the opportunity to take a look at personally, was the Padbury Lane main drain install. And I encourage councillors, if they're in the area, to have a squeeze at there. So the manager of Works and his team have built an almost sheer Roman aqueduct of sorts, building a concrete wall along there, which will much better channel the water through to our weir and protect the road assets and the like there. And I think it's actually a pretty clever bit of engineering. Yeah. We're checking it out. I did take some photos and we'll send them out to council and have a chance to do that, yeah. So, it's very impressive.
We're pouring the second last section near the Dumbleyong Road for the Tudor Street tomorrow, and then we're going to do another 14.1 metres from the pumping station heading west back towards Ventnor Street.
All right. Questions, councillors? No, did we pick up any water out of the rainfall that we've just had?
A little bit.
Remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
There being no questions, is there any dissent on the motion? I shall declare it carried, 6-0. We shall move along. Item 9, previous motions of which previous notice has been given. We have none. Item 10, as written. Do you wish to expand, Mr. CEO?
No, thank you. No.
Councillor O'Brien,
More than happy with the reply.
happy with the response of that? Thank you. Item 11, urgent business.
There is no urgent business in the room.
No urgent business. Item 12, confidential. We have a couple of items there, Mr. CEO.
Option to cancel the close the meeting to.
Councillor Chilcott has moved that we close the meeting to the general public. Councillor Reid Seconds, thank you. Is there any dissent on that motion? I shall declare that carried. You're going to leap on.
How's practice?
There being no further items of business, I shall declare the meeting closed. 8:34. Thank you all for your attendance.